We're in the United Kingdom today, and with us is Martin Limpert, the Managing Director for Range Rover. Martin, thank you for having us here. It's been a wonderful day, actually. We've been out with the electric Range Rover, and I'll get to that. But, I just thought first, I just wanted to hear from you. What's been the year like for Range Rover last year? I mean, we've heard it's been a record year, but how are you looking at it?
No, thanks, Sergius. First of all, welcome to the UK and nice to meet you. It's been an outstandingly strong year. Obviously, the market conditions are quite challenging at the moment. We set out 2 years ago with our reimagined strategy, in which we want to be the creators of modern luxury products and experiences for the most discerning of our clients. And one of the elements we did in this was separating our brands into a house of brands. So within JLR, we have the 4 brands: Range Rover, Defender, Discovery and Jaguar, which allowed us to really establish each brand as its individual personality. And this was now the second year in which we really were able to elaborate this with the Range Rover brand and really give a strong presence, highlighting and celebrating actually the British originality. Range Rover was the first luxury SUV since 1970, right? So this year we celebrate the 55th year of Range Rover itself as well. Really highlighting, celebrating the craftsmanship, the best refinement that you can get within a Range Rover, the elevated seating position, everything that comes with the Range Rover. So yes, it was a great year to really build on the brand and build on the success of the product since we relaunched on the new platform.
Right, and I have to ask you, in fact, you did mention the house of brands. There's been one thing that I've been dying to sort of get to the bottom of. You've got some of your models becoming brands, because they've been so iconic, obviously understandable, like Defender, for example, Discovery. But I've also noticed Land Rover, that has been taken, a back step. Is that intentional? And do you think that's, a risky strategy, letting go of a brand like Land Rover? Because they're on the cars. I know this Land Rover is still on the car, but it's not in communication. It's not actively being used. I mean, what's the thought behind that?
So look, it's a good observation. First of all, again, we want to position the brands Range Rover, Defender, Discovery and Jaguar as standalone personalities. Jaguar obviously was a standalone brand already by itself. So if I just take Range Rover, Defender and Discovery, we believe they have strong equity, strong credibility as brand and a high follower base within our audiences, within the market, to be their own personality. Land Rover, imagine this like a trust mark. Right, so especially when you have technologies that come from Land Rover that maybe are even shared across these brands, accessories, spare parts, the intellectual property, the engineering capability behind that. So as a client, you buy a Range Rover or you buy a Defender or you buy a Discovery, but you also know as that trust mark in the background is still Land Rover as the brand, and that's kind of how we try to set this up.
Okay, so it's always going to be there. It's not a step of moving it out slowly aside.
It's just changing its role, yes.
Okay, changing a role. Right, got it.
Take it as a trust mark. That's maybe the best descriptor for it.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting strategy as well. It's like the underline, I guess.
Exactly.
Behind all of them. Also coming to Range Rover, the electric journey that you're undertaking now with, today we were out on a passenger ride of the electric Range Rover. I have to say it was very impressive. Quite interesting to see as well. And I want to ask you about the decision to make it look exactly like the internal combustion versions. Obviously, there's pros and cons both ways. Some brands have done this, some brands have gone completely different. An EV should be very different and strikingly so. What's been Range Rover's thought behind this? Why this route? And even to the point of sharing the platform, right? We have a common architecture between all the models. So what's been the rationale behind that?
So first of all, I'm happy we succeeded. You recognized it looks exactly like the Range Rover, because that is exactly the strategy. That's the purpose. So if I start with why did we go this way? Range Rover itself as a product and as a brand has a very strong equity. The customers love the elements that I just mentioned. Things like driving comfort, refinement, craftsmanship and execution, unmistakable design of the Range Rover, the reductiveness that comes with the car. So we wanted to make sure that whatever we build, it's a Range Rover first, and then it happens to be electric. And then the idea behind the electric is it's just amplifying all those DNA elements that I just mentioned. you will have experienced it today. It's the more quieter cabin, right? It's higher performance. It has high torque at any output range of the engine. So it comes with everything that the customer expects of a Range Rover, just a bit better and just electric.
Right. So actually that's quite an interesting also strategy, and I can also see maybe perhaps another benefit with the EV sort of market now showing a slight, I wouldn't say degrowth or whatever, but it's not as rapid as initially thought. You are in sort of in a safe area because it's, like you said, a Range Rover first with just different powertrains.
Exactly.
Right? When do you think the EV powertrain would really accelerate, and at what point do you see this being the sort of the majority?
Yeah, you know, it's really difficult to predict, you're right, because the market is very evolving at different paces. It also depends on geographies, first of all, where you look into. Different markets have different paces on the electrification. And then also to some extent, obviously, also on the political environment, on the taxation environment, etc. So I think what again helps us in this regard is that we use the so-called MLA Flex platform, which allows us right from the beginning, without compromises, to build petrol, plug-in hybrids, diesel, full electric vehicles, whatever we want to build, and have that flexibility to react to the market dynamics and to react to the customer requirements. And most importantly also, Sergius, to give us the right time to develop the full electric Range Rover until we are confident it is now on that level where we want it to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So how soon can we see it in the market and in India?
So you will already have seen that we've just even displayed some of the testing in Artpilog in Sweden at the moment. We are progressing very, very well. So there's more tests to be done, and we will communicate more throughout this year about exact delivery dates and start of deliveries.
Okay, so we don't have a date as yet.
Not yet.
Not that you can share.
Ready to communicate, exactly.
Okay, got it. And you know, coming to India, where do you see the prospects for the electric version of this car in the Indian market? I mean, do you see it being a very niche and fringe, or do you think it, you know, given the positioning of Range Rover, this, you know, ultra luxurious, refined, silent kind of vehicle, do you think that that would be well accepted in the Indian market?
So we believe there's a market for this, absolutely. The question at how quick we get to higher volumes with the full electric version is still to be answered. Overall, the Indian market has huge opportunities, huge possibilities, right? And we grew actually by 40% with Jaguar Land Rover overall last year, fiscal year 25, following 80% growth the year before, and now selling more than almost 6,200 cars last year. With a big proportion of this with Range Rover Sport. So maybe before even electric, just in general, since we made the decision to localize the manufacturing of Range Rover Sport, we increased our sales by 2.5 compared to the times before.
Right. In fact, I was just going to ask you that, Martin, because, you know, I think the sort of booster shots that the brand has had in India has been obviously the products, especially the Defender, which is a rock star right now in India for you. And the decision, like you said, to localize, you know, the Range Rover, the Range Rover Sport. What's the next booster? Is something else being planned for India? Do you see, you know, like another step forward that?
Yeah, so we keep observing the market. We obviously also saw that there's thankfully a free trade agreement that has been just signed between India and the UK. So we have to analyze more in detail what exactly does this mean for us, and what implications does this have for our manufacturing and importation footprint.
Right.
I think for now, Sergius, one big thing we really want to focus on, and you drove them today, is the SV products in our portfolio. The Range Rover SV, the Range Rover Sport SV, there's some really, really good products and amazing products coming in the pipeline. And we believe the Indian market and our clientele in that market that wants to reward themselves, that wants to express their achievements and their personal kind of milestones in their life, that's the perfect kind of vehicles that we can now focus on in the market.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, I was quite impressed with that as well.
You will have seen the Ranthambore edition, I guess, last year, right?
Yes.
Specific 12 units, focusing on the Ranthambore region where that Indian tiger comes from, right? Building that local context. Right. Customers loved it.
True. So you know, speaking about that, obviously you've been able to do that with the Indian market growing, can we expect to see more sort of local and targeted interventions for the Indian market?
So we'll keep observing. Obviously, we already built several vehicles like the Velar, the F-Pace and other cars, and most recently Range Rover and Range Rover Sport. So by the nature of things, we look at what is the next opportunity, and do we want to keep importing or do we want to start local manufacturing? So I can't share more, but obviously we are involved in evaluating this.
And you spoke of the FDA, which is something I want to discuss with you. Right now, not much is known in terms of the actual, every little nitty-gritty of it. But where do you see this impacting your local assembly, given that, if it is, let's say, economical to just import cars, would you switch to that, or would you now keep, assembling cars in India? And would the Indian local assembly grow? Because there have been reports of you also looking at growing that, perhaps even out of Maharashtra, which is, into, I think, Tamil Nadu and things like that. So are you looking at growing the local assembly and looking at India as a base for perhaps exports?
Yeah, look, so first of all, we have that very big advantage that India is our second home market. With the Tata Group as our mother company, we have a very strong brand and a very strong partner and mother company in the market. So we can join up forces and evaluate together what is the best strategy for which brand and for which products. So again, not excluding anything, we're evaluating as we speak. For now, the strategy is right, and really the success, especially of Range Rover and Range Rover Sport, shows that we've done exactly the right thing by localizing these two vehicles. So we keep observing what the next opportunity is. But it depends on the details of the free trade agreement as well.
Right. And would the Defender be in that pipeline, given its success, to locally assemble that?
I mean, you answered the question yourself. It's a big volume car. It's very, very successful at the moment in the Indian market. It's a natural question to look into that, at least to investigate it as well. We wouldn't exclude it.
Obviously, right. And, Martin, also looking at, let's say, a little beyond, I know you're looking at Range Rover, looking after Range Rover, but just looking a little beyond, let's say, into Jaguar as well. That's going to be an all-electric brand. You've got all the portfolios here, SUV, we know there's a four-door GT coming there. How do you see, these two brands sort of coexisting with each other? Will electrification be sort of a smaller chapter for Range Rover, or will you go whole hog, or will Jaguar, be focused on that? How are these two going to interact?
Now look, so first of all, Jaguar right from scratch will be full electric or all electric only, right? That was the active decision with the reintroduction of Jaguar. But also for the other brands, no matter if it's Range Rover or Defender or Discovery, we have a clear commitment that by the end of the decade, by the end of 2030, we want to have all of these brands electrified. So there will be electrified versions for all of these brands. And you also know that by 2039, we want to be zero emissions. So definitely the journey is electrification. And then the pace at which we get to that tipping point really depends on the markets where we operate in. And we take the time because we have that flexibility, especially with the Range Rover brand.
Right. And Martin, you said, I just want to go now to some sales related. You had a great year last year. I think the financial year was a 40% growth.
In India, yes.
In India, in India, sorry. Would you be now looking at expanding perhaps your network as well? Because the growth, from what I understand, has been driven primarily through your existing network. It's not due to network expansion. It's maybe more the products and reaching out to your customers. Would you now look at expanding the network in India?
Yes, in India, definitely. So we currently have, I think, 21 retail points and I think 4 or 5 service points. So we roughly have a network of 25, primarily focusing on the big tier 1 cities. But absolutely with the success, with the localization of our manufacturing, with the strength of the brands, not just Range Rover, but also the other brands. And with the love that the customers express for our brands as well, we see the opportunity and we start to investigate in looking into tier 2, tier 3 cities where we see the opportunity.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, if my numbers are correct, I think you pipped a brand like Audi, for example,
yes,
JLR as a whole in India. So it's clear that you therefore also need a network larger than
absolutely agree.
Your competitors. And by when are you looking at starting this sort of expansion?
So we've already started it. So we're already in conversations with existing partners and with new partners. So that's already happening as we speak right now. Yeah.
Right, right, awesome. And Martin, just one last question before I think we leave you. I know you've probably got a lot lined up as well today, but for India, how important, besides it being, like you said, your second home market, but strategically, how important is the market? Like, I mean, is it a market that you look at as because it's your home market, or is it substantial in numbers, or is it maybe even strategic in terms of, like, some brands have R&D centers, Mercedes-Benz, for example, a competitor to you, has a full-fledged R&D center in India. How is Range Rover looking at the Indian market? Would you eventually look at, engineering capability in India, or is it just, which of these three?
No, so definitely all of them. So in terms of market opportunity itself, it's a big growth market. It's more than 1.5, 1.7 billion inhabitants. I think 65% of them are younger than 35 years old. So this is a working population that is growing and coming up. It's more than 900 million people in that area. I think there's more than 700,000-800,000 ultra high net worth individuals, or high net worth individuals, sorry, and we know these numbers will be growing as well. So definitely there is the market, there's the wealth, there's the opportunity for us. That's from a market growth point of view, absolutely. From a partnership point of view, again, with the Tata Group as the home market, we just see big opportunities in partnering up, no matter if it's charging infrastructure, charging capabilities, manufacturing partnerships, financial services, experiences. So there's definitely a room for this as well. And the third one that you mentioned, we already do actually. We have an engineering office in Bangalore, right, with hundreds of engineers, and a close collaboration again between the Tata Group and Jaguar Land Rover.
Right. And, then I will ask you another one, maybe a follow-on question to that, is you all did announce some time ago, I think it was a year and a half, that you all wanted to look at sharing platforms with Tata. That seems to be now on the back burner. Is there a change? Can you shed some light on that? Where does that stand? I think it was the EMA platform that was supposed to be shared, if I'm not mistaken.
There was a cooperation agreement, and still is. But I can't share much more, but we're still working together.
Okay, so it's still being looked into.
Yes.
Great. Thanks. So hoping that fructifies as well, Martin. And
thank you, Sergius.
When do we see you in India?
Pretty soon, hopefully.
Okay.
I know it's a big market for us. We're launching the next limited edition.
Right.
So maybe I'll come over for that launch.
Great. Looking forward to that, Martin.
Thank you,
so
Sergius.
much.
Looking forward to see you again.
Thank you.
Have a great time here.